Here we go. Another episode. Oh, this is going to be a great episode. Built for this podcast. And, if you're built for this shit, you understand it. And the people that come on here, my guests, they're built by it. So I'm really grateful, honored to have Flawless on the show today. And, man, let's go. Let's dig deep. Let's get into this. Flawless, how you doing today?
What's going on, my brother? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Where are you at today?
I'm in Rhode Island. I'm back home, back in the home state of Rhode Island today, in the studio, getting some work done in the office. Making sure all my ducks are in order. You know, coming into the summertime. It's about to get hot outside, so we're getting ready for the summer. You know. Yeah,
I understand that. Were you in the studio cutting some new licks today?
Yeah. We got an album dropping right before the summer. So we can hit the road in the summertime and take advantage of this 2024, this beautiful 2024 that we're having.
Well, built for this podcast is about, it's about the grit. It's about going through it. And you in the music industry and listening to, your art and your lyrics, man, I can tell that, you came up, you've had some hard knocks, you've hammered it out. It's about at that point in your life, and I'll ask you some questions, but at that point in my life, there was times where there was no mentors around me. There was no things. How do you, when you're 3 feet from gold and you have to keep going, where do we dig and where do we find and who touches us in order to get to that next level and keep moving on? It's unfortunate so many people never, they quit before the dream is had, right? But you sitting where you are and who you are, like you didn't quit. I can tell you don't have quit in you. You just don't. I can see it.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, for sure, man. I think the most important thing is, you only fail when you do quit.
Failure is quitting.
That's it, man. That's it. As long as you keep going, something's gonna happen for you. As long as you keep going and keep God first, it's the endless possibilities, man.
Rise and grind. I feel that. So, tell me how who are you? Where'd you come from? I know you've been around for a long time. You've collabed with some real mofos out there. Too long, yeah. Where are you at? Like, give me a snapshot of who you are and in the grind,
Absolutely. My name is Flawless. I've been doing this hip-hop thing for over 15 years. I come from the smallest state in the country, Providence, Rhode Island. I was here before the internet when you had to go into the streets and really grind and get it and believe in yourself and showcase your talent in person, And I made a great successful career independently. I learned a lot about the business, chose to go the independent route. It's been tough, like any business owner or anybody trying to pursue something that's great. If it was easy, everybody would do it, you know what I mean? But we've gotten here to this point. We're 15 years strong. We've got an incredible resume. We're our own boss. We live by our own rules. And we're enjoying it. We're enjoying the journey. And that's the most important part. We're still on the journey, enjoying the journey, loving the journey. And that's the beauty of it all.
You sing about some really good motivational and like things that us OGs in all of our industry we talk about. We see our younger generation going down a road, right? And I'm going to tell you where my part is. I listen to gang rap. I like, you look at me right now and I got a Corvette with the top down and I'm slinging rap music and in my life, I want to be in my life, it's like this. So I put the blessings and the prayers out. And my ask to God was to fill me with some artists that still had that thug life in them, but were giving grace to Jesus. You know what I mean? And motivational music and feel good stuff that you feel it, right? And he delivered that. And it's crazy how these things, when you ask, if you ask, not receive, you don't ask, you don't receive. You ask, you receive. And in my life, I'm learning this at my age is that if I want something, I can ask for it and it's being delivered to me. And so this transition and us being here and talking today is really magical to me because I asked the ask and my genre in my playlist has changed now. And I'm finding more artists that still have that thump in them, you know what I mean? That are grinding for a warrior for Christ. That kind of stuff is out there and it's landed in my lap, which brings me to another point. And I've had this song in my playlist, and I've been singing your music, and I'm embarrassed that I didn't know it was you until I looked up. Oh, it's crazy, man. It's super
That's
crazy.
dope.
It's super crazy, and it was no better. And the reason why,
Oh, really?
yeah, and the reason why is because in it you say built for this, right? And so that what tied me into this, and it was just about a week ago, I decided who's singing this? I can use this as a theme song and ask them, and your name popped up, bro. And it's just like, so I jumped off the cliff, scraped every bit of my body, but it's only built for me. This, right? Right? It's like,
yeah,
bro,
yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, I know I'm messing it all up, but I'm like,
No, you did it.
Oh, man. You know,
It only built me for this, yeah.
You built me for this, yeah. It's pretty cool, man.
That's awesome, man. So you were listening to the record prior to knowing that it was even me.
Yep. And it was in it.
Wow,
And it's like,
that's
I it's one of those songs I keep going back. I listen to the music because it goes into being built by your team, right? Your team's all here now, and it goes into the hard, starting in the basement. I mean, all that stuff, you know, and where you're at today.
Yeah.
I don't want to take over
man.
the show.
I am definitely one of those artists that started at the very bottom, you know, in an unfinished basement with a computer and a mic. The first thing I think was important for me was sustainability and being able to rely on myself and not rely on so many other people to get the work done. So I learned how to mix and master my own music so that way I could record myself in my own studio. So if I wanted to be in the studio, you know, 20, 30 hours, 40, 50 hours in the next couple of days, that was at my own discretion. You know, coming up my age, it was $20 an hour for studio time.
Yeah.
So I would only have $20. Like that was it. I would only have that hour every time I would go to the studio. So what I would do is I would memorize my songs so crazy. So when I went in, it would only take one take for me to get the record down. And then I try to like move on to the next so I could fit as many songs as I could in that 1 hour. Well, the studios, they kind of caught on to that and they were like, okay, we're going to change our model to $20 a song. That wasn't going to work for me. So what I did was I began to teach myself and educate myself how to mix and master so that way I could be my own studio engineer, I could do my own music, and I could record. And that's what allowed me to outwork the competition because I was in the studio and it wasn't costing me anything to create these mixtapes and these albums and push them out every couple of months, you know?
Were you always, from the beginning, were you always like singing motivational lyrics and, you know, singing God?
No.
And how did that flip? So I want to hear when that point happened, and I know it was a risk, right? It's the risk.
Absolutely.
How you
know, just like everybody that grows in the industry that they're in, you're gonna grow and do things differently than you were when you were younger.
Right.
When I was younger, I was just trying to prove that I was the best rapper in the world. You know what I mean? I was aggressive. I was letting everybody know that I was the best. It was a different time in music too, where lyricism was at an all-time high, you know? And the industry began to change, obviously, where music wasn't as popular, but I didn't change with that. I wasn't like a guy that always was into trends or following what was popular. I knew what I was bred from. I knew what I loved to do, so I continued to make my kind of music. And as I grew older, the aggressiveness in my music wasn't necessarily necessary because I knew I could showcase my talent without necessarily talking crap about the next rapper or, you know, going hard or so to speak. And another thing that I implemented was I stopped cussing in my music, where I was like, okay, I could make this song just as hard without the F-bombs, and this could play anywhere opposed to only a certain audience.
Respect.
And that's where things really opened up for me because people would ask me like, oh, let me hear your music. And sometimes I'd be like, oh, well, I got to show them a particular song because I don't want them to hear this song. It has a lot of cuss words, this song. So I began to like, you know, figure out ways to be more marketable, especially with DJs. They want to play your music. They need a radio edit. So now they're chasing you for a radio edit. You might not see the email. You might not get that connection with the DJ. So now my music's clean. Any DJ that wants to play it, they don't need to hit me up for a radio edit. They can play it right from the source, you know, and they continue to be able to support in that way. and my music was able to be played more vague, more widely, more vastly, throughout any audience, and it really benefited my career.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that it's fast tracking it too, like you said.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to edit
Yeah.
it, and I mean that takes time, back and forth. You got a guy doing it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
a lot of rappers right now, they're comfortable just rapping. They let the engineer do their thing. I'm rapping, and then I have to get into like engineer mode and spend hours in the studio just doing that part of it. It's not just rapping for me. Plus, I'm my own CEO, so I'm doing all the office work and contracts and
yeah.
everything else. So it's all a balance.
Did you find it hard in your career where you weren't making it, there weren't getting enough attention, money wasn't coming in, and people around you, family, that's what I always find, is usually a lot of family. You'll find some support, but a lot of people around you say, I told you should go to school. I told you, it won't work. You need to go get a job. You need to do this. You need to do that. And at those moments, how did you hold on to what your dream is and just to keep balling through it to get to where you're at today?
It was like an epitome type of moment where I remember like it was yesterday. So I was performing in the local clubs, doing my thing. I was popular in the local scene. Wasn't making any money at all, and I was like really drunk one night on stage, and I'm performing, and they got these girls in the front, and I look around, and I'm like, I'm gonna be 40 years old performing for these same people because we're a small town. Like it's the same crowd everywhere we go. They just follow us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I love those people. Shout out to everybody that was a part of that core audience in the beginning.
Sure.
But it was like I'm never gonna grow here. So I was about 18 and I packed everything up. Atlanta was huge. The music scene was huge in Atlanta. Things started to shift from New York to Atlanta, where like the hyphy movement and all like the dance stuff really started coming into play. And I said, I gotta make a drastic change. So I'm like, I'm gonna go to Atlanta. I'm either gonna be so different that they hate me and send me back home, or I stand out like a sore thumb because what's going on out there is everybody sounds the same right now. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we went out there with a rap van, a van with my face on it as for promo, and a camcorder before they even had like the iPhones that were recording. This is 2011. 2011. So we go down to Atlanta. I just start entering every competition. There's more contests. There's more things that are going on in Atlanta and the Atlanta scene. So I'm entering these contests and I'm winning everything. Like I'm winning everything I enter. So we enter this big Wendy's competition, and you had to write your name on a receipt, put your name in the hat, and then hope they pick you so you can audition to open up for this big concert in Atlanta at the Phillips Arena. We end up winning that competition and get to open up at Phillips Arena for 20,000 people. Now, mind you, this is only
Wow.
like 2 or 3 months removed
Yeah.
from the local stuff, like the
Yeah.
200 people in the hole in the wall in Providence, Rhode Island. You know, but I tell a lot of upcoming artists, this is an important, part of my story, is that all of those shows back in Rhode Island that I was doing every week for those same people, though they weren't big shows, were priming me for the big show. And even though it was only a couple of months removed from leaving Rhode Island that I was doing 20,000 people, had I not put in those groundwork hours, I probably would have bombed that show, and not done a great job and not had the rest of my career that follows. Because everything's a domino effect, right? Everything
Yeah.
happens one after the other. One thing leads to the next thing. So being ready and doing those local shows allowed me to be ready for that big moment when I won that competition to do that crowd. After we did that show, it was successful. We started getting like all the openings for people. I don't know if you're
Awesome.
familiar with an independent artist named Tech N9ne.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. He's in my
Okay.
play set too,
Stage
man.
music.
I was hitting the boxing
Yeah,
bag
you know
this morning to
Tech,
Tech
right?
N9ne. Yeah.
Yeah. So Tech comes down to Atlanta, and I open the show for him. God does it. God made him have to go to the bathroom really bad during my set, and at the arena at the place we were at, center stage, they have no bathrooms in the green rooms, so you have to use the public bathroom. So He's like at a point where he has to use the bathroom. He can't, so he's got a hoodie on. He's trying to go through the crowd, and I'm killing it up there so bad that he like forgets he has to go to the bathroom, and he watches the rest of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I got on stage, he's like, "Hey man, the show's crazy. If you can figure out how to get state to state, I'm about to do 48 cities in a month, and you can do every city if you want." So that was the
Wow.
start. Yeah, that was the start of me understanding the independent game, the touring game. We found a way to get a tour bus. Shout out to Justin, one of my early investors, got the money for a bus so we can get city to city. You know what I mean? We got the bus. We made the tour happen. We had a successful tour. Tech taught me so much about the independent game with merchandising and just, because this is a guy that isn't on TV. He's not
Yeah.
on the radio.
Yeah.
So I wasn't that familiar with him. I'm still a younger generation than when he was like, coming up, and I'm not from the Midwest, so being from the Upper East Coast, I wasn't familiar with him. So when I'm seeing these 10,000 people in Kansas City and 10,000 people in the Midwest come out to see this guy, and he's making $5-6 million a year, I'm like, wait a minute. I don't need a record deal. I need to learn what this guy is doing, because what he's doing is separate from all the BS that's going on over there, and he's still making millions of dollars.
Right.
So that's when I decided I was going to be independent, no matter what happened, because I knew, this was the life for me to be able to be my own boss.
So independent, like that's record label independent, right? That's the opposite. Am I right?
Record label is the major record labels, like the Interscopes and the Universal and Def
Yeah.
Jam. I'm independent. I have my own record label. You know what I mean? I have several record labels actually. You know how that go. And I got different corps that I run. Different businesses through. We have a production company, and everything is just gelling. And we are our own boss. We do everything we want to do, how we want to do it, and it's better that way.
Good for you, man. Good for you.
Yeah.
That's a real grind. Like that's the hustle. Like
It
that's
is.
the hard part. Independent. I mean, what other artists that you know out there that made their life off being independent in the music game?
There's very few, man. There's
very few.
There's absolutely very few. There's very, very few. But you also have to consider what you want out of this business, right? Because some people just want to be famous. So you could go to a record company could come up to you and say, "Hey, we're gonna sign you. We're gonna give you $2 million. We're gonna recoup our money. You're gonna get 15% of the split." They don't care. They're like, "Well, you're gonna give me what? Okay, let's go. I'm gonna be famous. All right, cool." So then they complain once they're famous. You see them complain years later. "Oh, I didn't make no money with the label. Oh, I didn't do this. My record label screwed me over." Well, you chose fame over the business because you were more interested in being on TV and being in the spotlight than actually making the money and being your own boss and owning the music. Because if you understand the business, once you sign to a record label, you no longer own anything you make, and good luck recouping, because it's gonna be a long road, and they're gonna make sure they work you until they're done with you. So for me, it was always about not letting that happen. You know what I'm saying, and dictating my own path and choosing the business over the fame. There's a
Right.
good chance as an independent artist, I may never be, on BET, MTV. This is before I've already done those things. Thank God. God has blessed me. But when at that point, it was like, okay, I may never be on MTV, BET. I may never chart. I may never. But is that what I want over what stability I'm really gonna have, over the ownership, over the the income that's gonna be throughout the years, everything like that, the publishing, or do I want to be famous? Like, I gotta make that choice right now. So I chose the business over the fame, and then I still was able to capitalize, with the Netflix show and with everything else. It's been a blessing to be able to still be on those platforms, even though I chose a different route.
Self-made, baby. Like built for this. There it is,
Yeah.
right there. Right, you're built for it.
this, You're
built for this. Yeah. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Tell me about the time Young Flawless met his then hero, Iverson. Oh, Allen Iverson. That's Richie's question.
That's a Richie question, huh?
Yeah,
That's a Richie
Richie's
question.
like, he's like, you got to ask him this, so I got to throw one out for him.
Richie's a great dude, man. You know, he
Yeah.
manifested even us just talking right now.
Yeah.
It's the work of Richie. You know, he's been a great friend of mine and a business associate, man, for a long time, and he manifests everything that he got, man. You know, that's my dude.
I love him,
So
man.
Allen Iverson taught me a good lesson because one thing that I get a lot from fans is the experience that they've had when they've met me that I will never remember.
Hmm.
So people would say, "Oh, do you remember, man? Last time I met you, my son got a drumstick from the drummer, but he only had one, and you ran through the crowd and found your drummer and got us to autograph." I'm like, "Really? That happened? That's amazing, man." You know, but the Allen Iverson story taught me that every experience is important because to me, it's 30 seconds of flash that I'm never gonna remember. But for them, it's something they're forever going to remember. So if it's an unpleasant experience, they're always gonna live with that story.
Yeah.
So here we are, Allen Iverson. You know, I'm only 13, 14 years old in Philadelphia, backstage at a Frankly Beverly and Mays concert. Don't even ask how I got there. Crazy, right? So I'm backstage at the Frankly Beverly and Mays concert. He shows up. He's there, and at this time, I've been around a lot of celebrities where I knew kind of how to, the etiquette when it comes to, approaching people. When it's a good time to approach, when it's a bad time, kind of when to leave people alone, stuff like that. So he was backstage. He was doing some things. I gave him the space that was necessary. When it was a good time, I approached him to get a picture. And at that time, I was a huge Allen Iverson fan because I'm a small guy. I'm not a tall kid. So he's representing all the small kids, for the small kids in the world and being so little in the NBA and dominating. And he just gave me like a really bad attitude and unpleasant experience to where, me being 13, I'm thinking I could beat this guy up. I'm like trying to start a fight with him. Like, because I had already been around a lot of celebrities and my stepfather at the time was a tour bus driver. So we would always get like access to tours and like things of that nature when Beyonce was in Destiny's Child and when Nelly was at the peak of his career. I actually like spent a lot of time with them on tour buses because my stepdad was the driver.
Awesome.
So that's what made me like really fall in love with music. So it just baffled me that he would act like that because I had met so many other people that were very nice and genuine. So it was like a real unpleasant experience. But he taught me, like I said, if I ever get to that status where people want to meet me or people want to take pictures with me or want to, associate with me and just conversate with me or meet me, I will always make sure that it's a pleasant experience because I'm never going to forget that.
Yeah.
And I never bought another pair of Iversons. I never supported him in his games. Like, I talk crap about him everywhere I go when I was growing up. You know what I mean? Oh, he sucks. Andy's a sucker. But it's just it's a valuable lesson that I was taught early that helped me in my career. You know what I mean? To make sure every encounter and interaction was something that they could remember in a good way.
How did God step into your life? How did that relationship coin? Has it always been there? Is it something that happened, or how did that flip?
Yeah, it's always been there. I'm a very God-fearing man, faithful man. You know what I mean? Always, my mom always had us in church at a young age. I veered away from the church growing up, but it was always, I always had a great relationship with God. It was really the demonic agenda in the industry that allowed me to kind of bring that out more in the forefront of my music. Seeing all the demonic things that were going on in the videos and the performances was like, yo, man, if you do got a voice, you gotta at least, even if it's not as big as the way they're doing it, I
Yeah.
can at least affect enough people to where I can make it at least try to balance this thing out. So with the it was like I think it was the Grammys last year when what's his name? I don't even know his name. I forgot his name. It doesn't even matter, right?
I do
He's
that
a
all.
big
I
pop
do that
star.
all the time.
Yeah, he had the devil horns and the hell scene in the Grammys, and it was like rated like, I mean, this is NBC we're talking about. You know, this isn't like MTV. This is NBC. We're talking about millions of people are seeing this, and it almost looked like just like they were in hell. And for me, the Unholy song. I forgot who sings that song.
Yeah.
The Doing Something Unholy, that song. So I remixed the record that night. I was like, I'm gonna take this Unholy song and I'm gonna rap it like about God. Ends up going crazy, like gets millions and millions of views on social media, and kind of like people were really like, you could see that they were like, oh, we're so happy you did this. It was like really going crazy. So that's what allowed me to say, okay, I'm gonna make a couple of more, and I'm really gonna try to like, just balance it out a little bit, put a little good on your For You page, man, because Jesus. People's timelines is just full of the devil. Need a little God in your life. Let me sprinkle some God in there.
True word, Jesus. Man. Bet.
Amen. God bless you.
What about through the pandemic? How does an artist stay relevant through a pandemic when you can't go anywhere? And how did you stay current through that?
I'm not gonna lie. The pandemic hurt, man. It did.
Yeah.
Oh, for me specifically, because the show had just aired.
You're at Netflix.
So we're coming off, the Netflix show, Rhythm and Flow.
Yeah.
And we were on a trajectory that was, I mean, massive. You know what I mean? Being independent too, it was so important. Like, this is crazy what's happening. This is it. This is like a big moment. And COVID hit and stunted the momentum. And even though I was still able to use social media, we wasn't able to tour. And touring is like, I learned from Tech, early on, like that's where it's at. So not being able to tour, like it was so bad. I was doing virtual shows. Like we did a deal with this live stream company, Livid, which is an international live streaming company. We did a concert with them. We had 1 million live viewers watching from all over the world our live concert. It was like one of the biggest viewership before Versus came out. Versus was like just starting, and then they went and they blew up. And they killed me with 1 million views because they had tons of viewers. But we had a huge crowd for that, and it was like, wow, this is great, but it's not the same being virtual. You can do so many virtual shows.
Yeah.
So it lasted for a while, so it really hurt us. But we did what we could. We were doing virtual shows. We were doing whatever to get to the money, man. We were like, hey, I did a whole college tour from my basement, bro.
It's crazy. So we're definitely having you up to New York, upstate with us as we're building out that whole thing out there, which is just super awesome to, I mean, we're speaking
Are you excited?
Oh, man. It was crazy. I met Benny the Butcher was the first one I met. I didn't even understand. I really didn't know who he was. And the first introduction to him, we went, and it was a private party. I was out with my shoes off in the field on the property out there because I'm this organic guy. Is what I do. It's energy. I got to feel the vibe, and that property was it was magical, right? Everything talked to me at that moment. And then I go to the winery to go to the dinner party, and I walk in there and I start doing a Soil King thing, throwing my cape, big name in the industry, and I didn't know who was there, right? Richie didn't say, hey, we're going to have these people here, these people are here. He just let me go into this thing. I go into this thing. Next thing you know, there's Benny. I'm slinging, I'm talking cannabis. I'm saying, how to extract. I'm just going. I'm like, I know that this is my industry, right? I'm the top dog. I'm like at the top with the top people, right? It's my thing. And I go outside and Benny's like, man, let's get a picture together. We get a picture. And he goes, by the way, you're untouchable in these parts. And I'm like, oh man, that was some deep words right there. And then I go over and there's
he stamped you, man. He stamped you.
Straight stamped me. And then I look over and I'm talking to JJ, who is James Johnson, NBA superstar, 22-0 MMA, right? And he says, you know who that is? And I'm like, no. He's all, that's the Butcher. And I'm like, Benny the Butcher? He's all, yeah. I'm like, holy. So it's so crazy because if I would have known who he was, I would have super fanned him. But it was this organic relationship of me owning the space to him becoming a wholesome dude with me on that introduction. And yeah, it was cool stuff. So I can't wait to do stuff with you up there, have you up there. We're gonna be doing some cool events up there.
No,
definitely.
that's awesome, man. I'm glad that you got to meet somebody like that caliber artist. You wanna associate with authenticity. You know what I mean? It's important
Yeah,
to do that, man, because a lot of brands, they chase popularity, but there's no authenticity in the people that are representing them, which just looks bad on them. So I think that Benny is a great. You got me too. I'm as authentic as it comes, and
yep,
Benny's definitely an authentic artist and somebody that you definitely want to have. You know what I mean? As a
yeah,
friend and associate, especially up there where
yeah,
that's where they at. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. No, it's
So that's
it was.
awesome.
I'm super excited to be doing everything we're doing out there. We won't talk a whole lot on it, but we're gonna build out an empire in upstate New
Yeah.
York, in a great one with a lot of great people. This time we're gonna get it all right. I've been in this game in the cannabis industry. I mean, my first time in handcuffs was at the age of 11 for growing weed in a pine tree, and
Yeah.
but there's no segregation.
You were
in
destined, my brother. You were destined.
And the same
Man, you
thing.
knew what you wanted to do early. Holy crap.
And authentic, same here, man. Like I fight in my industry, and it's corporate, it's massive corporate greed over here, and everybody that threw us in jail are now the cannabis entrepreneurs and licenses. So it's the same thing. It's a sellout industry, but there's outlaws to pioneers that gave all, including me and a lot of people that I know, that helped pioneer it to where it's at today. And I'd be kind of relating to the same situation as you. I didn't chase the money. Right, I chased the change in the world one plant at a time.
Longevity, man. That's what it's all about.
Man.
The longevity.
I'm still standing.
That's great.
Still, the first license in California, micro license that was given, and I still have it. I'm like legacy's still standing. It's like the fight is real.
That's it, man. One day at a time is all we can control. You know what I mean? That's
Bro,
it.
one day at a time. I live my life by. Sometimes it's minute by minute, but I
Yeah,
get that.
for real.
Man.
Hour by hour.
That's right, man. Hey, what's next for you? What's next right now for you? What can our viewers watch out for? Like they're going to be all chiming into you. What do you want to throw down right now that you're magically going to manifest, and we all can say, yeah, I remember when he said that.
I mean, it's just for me. I learn a lot. I'm very wise for my age. I'm never too optimistic. I'm always realistic with it. For me, the next step is just the album dropping, hopefully charting #1 on iTunes, which is what we're gonna go for. You know what I mean? To get the fans really behind us. We've been building a fan base for the last few years, and we haven't dropped a full-length project to sell to them. We've been giving a lot of music away for the love, and I hope that my fans reciprocate that and support when we do put this project out. Hitting the road, getting to touch the fans and see the fans in person, get back out there and be able to continue to grow, grow the company and just no matter how that looks, we always want to continue to grow year in and year out. And that's what I'm looking forward to, the full length project, growing some more, enjoying the journey, because the journey is everything, man. A lot of people that are there already are miserable. They have the money and they're miserable. They're there where they want to be. And I mean, you look at the way the world is right now, man, the journey is really, really, really the story. And
Yeah.
it's really the most enjoyable part of it. So for me, continuing the journey, man, and being blessed to be able to do what I love and continue to support my family doing it as well. That's always the goal, man.
How many kids you got?
I got 4.
I got
5,
four.
really, because I raised my stepdaughter, but I had 2 girls at a young age, raised them already, and now I just recently had 2 boys. My boys are 2 and 4. So I
Awesome.
kind of started over again, but I got 2 boys, so it's been more enjoyable this time than girls.
More stable this time around. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm much more stable this time. I'm not as young, so it's like night and day with them,
Cool. All right. Well, let's wrap this up, man. This has been great to have you on. Thank you for taking the time to, coming into the Built for You
No,
podcast.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Yeah.
I'm very, very excited to get to connect with you. You know what I mean? Hopefully we do some amazing things in the future together. I know we got some plans.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be great, man. It's gonna be great. I like the vibe. I love the energy. I can't wait to connect with you in person. Sit down and have a little sesh. You know what I mean?
Bada boom, bada bing.
Yeah, that. I want to try some of that
know that,
original
man.
GG you got.
Shit. I got you covered on all that. Got you covered and all
Sure.
that. And it's all super clean and it's medicinal. 100%
Yeah, it's
medicinal.
awesome, man.
No
That's
synthetic, nothing like that. It's straight
That's
Mother
great.
Earth's terpene flavors, compounds and terpenes. Absolutely.
Yeah, you've been doing your thing, man. I've been watching you, been following the journey, especially through Richie. He's been giving me all the updates and everything, man.
Yeah.
I just want to say, man, you're on to something big, and I'm going to keep praying for the journey and for the process and make sure this thing, sees through, man.
Same team, baby. Same team. Same team
Yes,
for
sir.
sure. Woo. All right,
Yeah.
great. Man, this has been a great episode. We got Flawless. He's just giving down the knowledge right now and, changing the world on responsible motivation with God lyrics. Like the world needs this right now. It's coming together. Thank you. It's been an awesome time. And, God bless you, my man. God bless you. See you soon.